streaming, and all right, it says we are streaming. Let's see if YouTube actually does it. One time I was streaming and we were like 10 minutes in and I was like, why is there no one in here still? And I was like, oh no, I see people. Cool. All right. We should be good. we were like 10 minutes in and I was like, man, 0 people. I was like, that's kind of like, I've had like 1 or 2 before. I was like, never had 0. I was like, that would be kind of sad. But okay. All right. Sweet. Well, anyways, guys, welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I'm Cage, your guide. It would be a place, a little voice inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first thing, if you're listening or viewing on whatever platform you're on, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. Today, I'm joined by none other than John Lennon, Kyle, the founder of DOGEPOUND. So thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Cade. It should be fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. And I love the background. We're talking off camera. You're out there in the NC, in the northern half of my home state, in South Carolina. So I know that side of the country well. How long did you move there?
I think it's hard for me to keep track now. I think it's been about five years or so.
Gotcha. Cool. Do you remember also, this literally just popped in my head, when I had left about a year ago onto my trip where I jumped into my car basically and went on a journey of self-discovery and traveled the country, lived in this little Prius. And my first destination was, God damn it. It may have been like the Blue Ridge Mountains or something it was something, one of the ranges in North Carolina. Right. So I was going to drive through there. And last year was right when the Colonial Pipeline thing happened. So everyone lost gas. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Dude, and I literally was at a half tank when I thought maybe I should get some gas. And then I was like, yeah, I'll just wait a little bit longer. So I waited a little bit longer, and that little bit longer was the crossover from we have gas to we don't have gas. So I basically drove into like North Carolina or Tennessee, somewhere in that region. And I was like, all right, quarter tank of gas. And I have this all vlogged on my YouTube channel. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, I have passed 5 gas stations and I'm 0 for 5 right now. And I started to panic. It's like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm in them. And I was in like, not only was I in Tennessee or North Carolina, I was in a place in North Carolina or Tennessee that had no one there either. And I was like, okay, I'm in like small town North Carolina. I'm not just in North Carolina. I'm not in like the cool city or like a Charlotte or something like that. I'm in a random ass place and I'm panicking. There's like live music with these hippies running around, like the shirts off. And I'm like, oh God. And eventually I was able to find gas and I saved my ass. But oh my God, yeah, that entire North Carolina, Tennessee area for me is special because partially because my family grew up in the area, and partially because that first memory in the beginning of my Joyage, I called it. But anyways, I wanted to talk because I haven't gotten too much information on you, honestly, as far as like where you are, how you've been here, like with the DOGEPOUND. Was that one of your first endeavors? I know with Betty from Deadfellas, it was like literally one of her first ever endeavors was doing Deadfellas, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I think in terms of making, definitely making like a big scale generative project, it was the first one. Actually, the character of John Lemon, though, comes from, I don't even know. It's so hard to keep track of all the years. Maybe 3 years ago now, maybe slightly longer. We decided we were going to make 3D talking characters. So actually, John Lemon was an actual Lemon character that we would stream on DLive TV, which is like it still exists. It's like an alternative to Twitch, but like has crypto built into it. Mm. We had John Lemon and we built like a dog character, or like a rooster, one that kind of looked like Pepe. But we built all these characters, and that was probably like back then, that was my first experience with NFTs because there was some big, I guess you could say like whales on the site that talked a lot about Axie Infinity even 3 years ago. Yeah. What's the big whale's name that still exists now? He's part of the CyberKongs community. So that was the first time that I was kind of involved in NFTs back then with Axie Infinity. Then fast forward to NBA Top Shot is kind of when I started getting more heavily invested in NFTs and just kind of saw the opportunity. And that's when we started making the DOGEPOUND.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, I love it. And I just realized my autocorrect made it John Lennon. So it's fixed now on the YouTube. It's John Lennon now. That's funny as fuck. That's cool as fuck, dude. So it's always interesting hearing people who know about things like NBA Top Shot. I wasn't here that long ago in NFT land, but what was the culture like of NFTs back then?
Like when DOGEPOUND launched, obviously there were still big projects like Bored Ape Yacht Club and things like that. But I feel like when we launched, NFTs they were like kind of hot, but they weren't the hottest thing on the block yet. And then maybe like a month or maybe not even, maybe a little less than that after DOGEPOUND launched, that's when things got like really, really crazy. Like were springing up all over the place. So not as crazy as it is today, but it was on the cusp of being like really, really big when DOGEPOUND was kind of like right around when we were launching.
Yeah, I remember because when I was in NFTs, I got in probably in the June-ish area of last year. And you guys were one of the first. I mean, I think for some reason DogePound was one of like the poster childs of like second generation, second wave NFT people. They like DogePound. I'm trying to think who else it would have been. That's honestly, you guys are the only ones who come to mind. But like DogePound, I remember everyone was talking about it. No one. It was back in a wild west of like we don't know anything. Like we literally didn't know anything. Like some people now are like, oh, it would have been so easy to trade because this that, and the other. I'm like, no, it's easy to trade. It's easier to trade now because we have like history to look back on a little bit. We've seen trends. We've seen projects try this and it didn't work. But like back in the beginning, there was nothing to look at other than like 5 projects. And so like I don't even know if I had launched a project back then, it would have been a whole lot of like, oh, we should probably try this, right? This might work, right? Like what was it like? Did you surround yourself with the right person on the team right from the get-go? Was there like a bunch of trial and error? Was there a bunch of mistakes in the beginning? What was it like?
Well, I think we've definitely made plenty of mistakes over the course of the DogePound, of course, because we've never fully run a NFT community before. So I'm always happy to admit that. But no, I think we had a pretty solid team. So I used to make a lot of mobile games. So in terms of, especially like back then when you're starting NFTs, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it too. I was like, oh, like my background's in growing huge communities online. And I've built a lot of mobile games and mobile apps. So I still had designers that worked for me full time, had a lot of connections there. And that was really in the infancy of it. That was it. Like, can you grow a community? Can you have fun artwork? Can you grow some sort of brand around it? And so it was easy back then. Obviously, it's getting a lot more competitive now, I think, for the good.
Yeah.
We've had some team members come and leave. But for the most part, I think we're in a really good position now. But but definitely not all smooth sailing though. That's for sure.
Has been coding and stuff. Is that like one of your main fortes, or is like it's a specific role managing that you love doing?
Yeah, I've always been kind of the person that puts all the pieces together. Even when I was making mobile games, I'm kind of technical, but kind of not enough to be able to, hire developers and designers. Yeah. I know the whole process, but I was never really the person that was sitting down and doing the coding or doing the designing. I was always the person for the most part that started the business or is more on business development and sales and a lot of marketing essentially.
Yeah, man. Did you by the way, just because we have Doge in the name, did you ever get in with the Dogecoin craze?
A little bit, but it's kind of funny. So I've been same thing. Like I've been in cryptocurrency for, I don't know, let's just say at least 5 or 6 years. And I remember the first like 2 times that Dogecoin pumped, and it was always kind of essentially it was right the meme coin. It was always a meme coin, and you knew that every time it pumped, like it was just going to come right back down.
We're like, come on, Elon.
Yeah, and then, I don't know what it was. Maybe 2 years ago or so, where it pumped, and then it just became bigger than it ever had before, and it became actually somewhat sustainable, which was cool. So, I was there through some of those pumps. I can't say I was ever like a huge Dogecoin maxi or anything like that, but I experienced those. Yeah.
It's just wild to know how many people got their in on crypto from Dogecoin or from one of I know Shiba, like a lot of people got in on Shiba. I remember my boss, I was working at a restaurant job in Charleston, South Carolina. And he literally, I remember he pulled me aside in the middle of my shift and goes, bro, you need to buy SafeMoon. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, you need to buy SafeMoon. I'm telling you, everyone is buying SafeMoon. This is the one. And I was like, Josh, are you fucking kidding me, bro? And he was like, no, I swear to God, like this is. I was like, oh my God, wow. But that was literally Ethereum $4,000. Like everyone thought we were gonna go to 10K. Even honestly, I mean, before like the recession crashed everybody, people still thought ETH was gonna hit 10K. It was kind of weird that it wasn't. I think everyone tried to hold on to that belief for a super long time. And then we entered this little bit of a bear market. Has anything changed as far as like a day-to-day routine for you now that the recession sort of has settled in? A lot of people are panicking. A lot of people are selling off assets that they're like, well, if it's not cash, they're selling. Like, has that been difficult for you guys to navigate?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't think it works in our favor right now. I'd say it's a little bit easier when we're in a bull market. Our volume is definitely come down a little bit in the last 3 to 4 months, or kind of it's slowly come down maybe over the last even like 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's we have to change. I think we have to be a little more focused now, which I think we are. Like really find the identity of what the DogePound is and focus on those things, do less. I think in the infancy of the DogePound, I always maybe to a fault, I'm maybe overly ambitious at times and try and do too many things. So I'm trying to kind of hone myself in and really just focus on things I think and take the project to and
Yeah.
really being sustainable in the next level. Yeah.
Well, the way you say that actually makes me curious about this. You don't have to comment on this if you don't want to, just because they're another company. But with like OpenSea and like Coinbase, how they had to lay off some employees and stuff, it's interesting to me because I know, I mean, obviously the initial reaction everyone has is like, what the fuck, like that's so messed up. But then like when you think about it, in a place like Coinbase and OpenSea were at when the market was so high, you had no choice but to hire. Like you have to hire all these people, otherwise you can't keep up with what's going on. And then when the market cools down, like obviously you can't keep, you don't need that many people anymore. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, because like I've never run company management like at that level, and I don't know like how those kind of decisions are made. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of affected us a little bit to a certain extent too. I mean, maybe there's some initiatives where we kind of have to scale back a little bit because our right now we've only done the 1 mint and then we make money off royalties. That's it. So we're just trying to make sure now cash flow is a little bit more important than it was when everything's super easy.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it makes perfect sense. Even I was talking to one of my friends who works at OpenSea just a couple of days ago. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. He actually got laid off from OpenSea too, and now he's trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You would think someone like OpenSea would have plenty of cash flow from the last.
That's also true. Oh God, man, that's funny. Yeah, man. Also, I just remembered this. So I want to say thank you for sending me the Doge. I know it probably hurt you, honestly, Loki. Like when I found this one in your wallet, I was like, oh man, am I really gonna be that guy? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. So for people who don't know, I jumped into DOGEPOUND's Discord and said, hey guys, and I was just thinking, I was like, let me just shoot this out there. It's not gonna happen. And I was like, listen, I love DOGEPOUND. Looking to trade though. I got a Doge that I'm not super in love with. It's great, but anyone want to trade? And Mr. John Lemon popped in. He said, hey man, yeah, here's my wallet. Go choose something. And I did. And here's what I found, fam. I found arguably a top 3 DOGEPOUND in the entire collection. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's try this. And so I traded it, and I'm just so grateful for it, man. It's in my ledger. It ain't going anywhere. And I really appreciate you doing that, dude.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it too. No, I'm always happy to help people. I hope people really, it's impossible to please everyone, right? When you have a lot of holders in the project, but I hope that people at the very least understand that like I do genuinely really, really care a lot about everyone in our community, and, try and make the best decisions possible. But I'll always go out of my way to help people if I can. So.
That's beautiful, man. And also, I've talked about that on my Twitter before of, that's something that for a lot of people, they know that for themselves, they know that. And they're like, look, I am trying to help people. I love people. I want to help. But if you don't say it, like sometimes it feels weird to say it. Like, hey, I love people, or like I love helping people, to like put it out there like that. And my friend Fidel is really good about that. And maybe some people look at it and they're like, wow, what a egotistical maniac or something. But people need to like hear that side. The people need to see that. Like, for example, if they've only seen you tweet a couple times, they're following 75,000 accounts and they're in 27 Discords, and then they finally see you put out a statement like that completely changes the game. For me at least, if I don't really know a guy that well or a girl that well, and then I see a tweet or I see a really vulnerable video or something where they kind of open up a little bit, I'm like, that kind of adds another dimension to the game a little bit for especially for founders. And that's why I love doing these founder podcasts, because we can kind of get into the dirt and kind of talk about stuff. So you've been in the crypto space for a super long time. What was it about crypto that was interesting? Because I've been introduced to it a few years ago too. But my reaction was like, what the hell? I was like, nah, that sounds like a scam. That's what my college thought was when I was in 2016, 2017 when I heard about it. But interested in what your intro was.
Yeah, sorry, just to piggyback on that really quick too. I think this is the first live, actually using my actual face interview I've done as John Lemon. So this is the first time.
Let's go. Let's go. Making history, baby. Making history. I love
it. Let's see. So how and why did I get into crypto? I think like a lot of people early on, it was just more so for an investment. I love technology and innovation. So I think the first time was really just as an investment. I think this might not make sense to everyone, but I think the craziest story that I have with the crypto space was, so I've always had my own startup or business for the last 11 years or so. And I worked in a co-working space when I lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I grew up in Wisconsin.
Cool.
And I worked with a guy there that would just be in there every single day on his computer. And he would always talk about, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
my God.
This was, yeah, this was, I don't know. Let's see what year this was. Maybe at least like 7 years ago, probably.
Was he the
So
weird guy?
no, he wasn't really weird, but like a lot of stuff he said, like it just didn't make any sense to me. He's like,
Yeah.
well, we're building, this huge institutional system where we're trading with some of the biggest banks in the world. Well, fast forward years later, that was the guy that was the CTO for BitMEX. I don't know if you know who BitMEX was, but they went on to make basically the biggest exchange, one of the biggest exchanges in the world. Now they've gotten into a lot of trouble. Yeah, just some guy like that was just sitting on his laptop in a co-working space with me every single day. He would tell me stuff, and just one in one ear and out the other. And
damn, dude, that is wild. That happened with I don't know. Oh my God, it's leaving me right now. There's someone I did a podcast with, and they were talking about that. How they were talking to someone, and they ended up being the founders of Axie Infinity. I think it might have been. Oh, it was Mac Flavell, the founder of CryptoKitties, Dapper Labs. He was telling me about that. He was like, yeah, these guys like they were. Yeah, he was like they were like doing. I forget the exact details. He's like they were doing something, blah blah blah. And he was like, you know who they turned out to be? I was like, who's? Like Axie Infinity, and I was like, oh my God. I guess back then, there's not that many people involved. Like, did you ever go to one of those in-person events? Did you ever meet any of those people at a formal thing?
No, not really. Not back in the day, at least. Now I've gone to, well, I suppose even since I've been in the NFT space, I've really only gone to the one conference in Miami. Actually, I talked to Mac a decent amount. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's cool as fuck, man. That guy's hilarious. He told so many stories on that show. I had so much fun with him.
He's super laid back. The first time I ever met Mac was he was like laying on his floor, like literally just laying on the floor with his laptop in front of him. And he had like this weird like cloud filter behind him. So now every time we talk, we both use this filter. But
that's so funny.
Great.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah.
Fucking Mac, dude. I remember he told me, I just posted this on my Twitter yesterday. He was telling me about a story. I was like, yo, so you do much trading? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I bought a goblin the other day. And I was like, nice. He's like, yeah, I bought it for 2.5 ETH. It's like, cool, dude. He's like, sold for 1.5 ETH. And I was like, all right. Oh man, funny as fuck. I'll have to bring him back. Maybe we'll do a joint podcast. I did a podcast with Dippies, and he was like, "Yo, we should do like a round table with like multiple project founders all in one, and just have like a bunch of generic questions, like a game show." And I was like, "Yo, that's a good idea. That'd actually be really interesting for me to do something like that." But
I'd love to do that.
Hell yeah, man. But anyways, okay, so here's something specific I want to ask, because this is something I'm sure people have been wondering. I forget if I put this in my Discord or something. So DOGEPOUND in the not recently, but like somewhat recently, have put out, they're like, okay, we're going to go into the gaming. This is not recent actually at all, but we want to go into the gaming studio route. And then you guys partnered up with Evaverse, who I was excited about, because Evaverse was one of my calls from a long, long time ago that I've been sitting on. And I've been telling people like, oh, is Evaverse ever going to do anything? I was like, guys, I'm telling you right now, Evaverse has been playing. They've been an actual game forever. Like they are just slept on for some reason. And then you guys came with that announcement. And it was just like, wow, Evaverse. And they kind of blew up for a little bit. What was the thought process for going into the gaming sphere? Was that something that you were interested in specifically, or was that just like a team decision? Was that like, what was that?
Yeah, no, I think it's more so just because it's our background. So I used to own a company, not a huge company, but we made a lot of single tap casual games, like, really hundreds of them. It doesn't necessarily say the number is a little bit misleading, because back then you were really trying to build tons of games for volume.
Sure.
That was the business model. And then Michael, who's a friend of mine who owns one of our partner communities, he also has a big background in mobile gaming. So I think was more so just tying into our strengths. Right now on the gaming side, we're really only focused on still trying to build out our own metaverse, which Michael is working on. We're working on NFT worlds, which unfortunately that's taken a little bump in the road.
Yeah,
we haven't made a final decision what we're going to do with that, but I'm hoping by the end of the week we can kind of finalize what direction we want to go with NFT worlds.
That came out of nowhere, dude. That came out of nowhere. Like, what in the hell did that? Like that? Do you think that kind of decision happens out of nowhere, or do you think does NFT Worlds know about that before, or is that just a statement that they find out through the internet kind of thing?
I don't know. I guess based off what I saw, it looked like it really caught them off guard. At least I would think they'd be transparent with their community about those sort of things. But
yeah,
it was kind of weird. I think everyone was. It was always a risk, right? Like people were always hoping that Microsoft and Minecraft would take some sort of interest in NFT worlds and support them, which in reality it backfired and they decided to do the complete opposite, right? But
yeah,
which sucks. Like I feel bad for it, but NFT Worlds, I don't know. I think they still have a great community. There's still a lot of people that want to build there and support them.
For sure.
So I think they can recover. It's just a uphill battle a little bit now.
Yeah, I told my dad, because my dad used to represent Microsoft for a bunch of conferences. He's a big tech guy. He works in Silicon Valley, and I was like, bro, what y'all doing? What y'all doing? I was like, why did Microsoft do that? And he was like, dude, I don't know. But yeah, that does stink. So you guys jump into the gaming sphere. You guys replicable. Are you guys building? So one thing that I was talking about, I think in like the fall or maybe the winter of last year, I was talking about projects everyone wants to build a game, right? Everyone's trying to build a game. There are a couple of projects who can probably pull it off, and most who probably can't. But I was thinking more along the lines of like building up the IP, building up the name to where Halo or someone hits you up and says, hey, we need your project in our game. We like your brand. We like your IP. We like your community. How about we get you, like, we pick 10 of your doges and we input you into the game as characters? Was that something that was in your realm of possibility, or were you guys trying to build it for yourselves?
No, definitely a mix. That's why we do partnerships with Avaverse, and now My Pet Hooligan is literally a business partner in DOGEPOUND.
Shout out My Pet Hooligan.
Yeah, no, I love those guys. They're
awesome.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Yeah, they're basically part owners in DOGEPOUND now. So we'll be
Nice.
in their game. Our characters will be in their game and all their products that they have. That's still, a huge focus for us. So anytime we do any sort of business development, reach out to brands, we're always trying to see if we can incorporate into their game or their product in some sort of way.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I think they'll start to hit a little bit harder once a lot of these brands get a little bit more experience. Like I saw someone was asking about, D-Race in chat recently, and they're like, how come we haven't, done any sort of like dog racing or done any big events with them? It's like, well,
yeah,
everyone right now is really just establishing like the MVP of their product and trying to get it working. And I mean, there's still, give it time. And I think it'll be pretty fun to see all the integrations that DOGEPOUND has, but they'll always be a focus for sure.
Tell me about that timeline. Tell me about like how long stuff actually takes in the gaming sphere. We all know that it's like it takes a long time, but like what does long time actually mean?
Well, it just depends what you're trying to make, I guess. Like back in the day, if we wanted to do like a really casual single tap game, I mean, sometimes you could make those in a week, or we'd have sometimes where it was a client game. Maybe it was more something like Candy Crush that would take 4 or 5 months at times to get all the systems developed. If you want to make, then you'll have people that come to you and say they want to build some like huge AAA game. You can see sometimes those would take years to establish.
With huge teams sometimes too.
Yeah, massive amount of resources. Something, I don't know. It's interesting. It's I think it's hard for right now people that are only focused on gaming, like Avaverse. They really are extremely talented. Like their team is awesome, but gaming hasn't really fully hit the NFT space yet. Like nobody, like you can see when the economies crash like this, and if it's all play to earn gaming, then what incentive is there to keep playing a game if the only reason you're playing right is to earn money?
Yeah,
in some sort of way. So I think there's a lot of growing pains that I don't even like the word play to earn. I don't think it makes any sense. I think it has to be.
It's tough. Yeah, I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. On like how would Call of Duty integrate the NFT world in your opinion? Like what would be the best way a game like Call of Duty or some level of game like that could integrate? What would be the best way?
I don't know. Like I just think that there has to be games that people like to play first, and the only incentive can't just be to make money. It just doesn't make sense because it's just not sustainable. Maybe like play and earn, not play to earn, right?
Play and earn, yeah, love it.
Like it has to be fun, and a lot of these games are really, I guess, restricted in the sense like even the puppy game that we made. Only people that have a puppy can play it, which, in hindsight, it's like, it just doesn't work. You need games where like there's truly interoperability and people like tons of collections can play it. That's when I think it gets more fun.
Yeah.
And sorry, not to go on a big rant, but I think that's where some of the metaverse stuff gets interesting too, when there starts to be some sort of like standard in place for what people are building. Cause right now you got like Sandbox and you got NFT World and now you have the other side and Decentraland. It's like, if you want to build in all those different places, like it takes all different assets and all different characters, and it's all completely different. So it makes it hard to really become like a really, really large thing.
Yeah. I see some people in the comments dropping some of their thoughts. It says and Bryce, my community manager, you see in their
Yeah.
Warzone battle royale mechanics where you have bridges allowing Modern Warfare players to integrate with Cold War and Vanguard players. See, like for me, the gaming world is it's not a mystery to me. All my friends play video games. I grew up and I just never played. I had like anger issues when I was like 6, and so my dad was like, I played GI Joe, and I would get upset because I literally lost at the end every single time. And so he was like, okay, you're done. You're not playing video games. So I never played video games growing up. And so when I got to like end of middle school, high school, when all my friends were good, then I was like, okay, let me jump in and play some of these games. But I sucked because I didn't grow up playing them. And so I only can play FIFA, basically, is what I'm saying. So I don't know this world too much. But yeah, I think there's different ways that it's going to happen. But I'd love to go down into into the metaverse rabbit hole. We can go into any rabbit hole you want. This podcast is all about you, whatever you want to talk about, honestly, because it's just about you. So with the metaverse, we're essentially, everyone has kind of agreed we're years away. We're a bit further away than we thought. We may not be as far as people thought originally. Like I know some people were like, we're 25, 30 years away. And we might be, but like, what does that even look like in 30 years? That might be an entirely different world in general. But in like a 5-year gap, where do you see the metaverse being as far as NFT land? Do you think we've broken into the real world as far as actual people coming into the world, or are we still in this cult of Web3?
Yeah, I think we're still like super, super small. I always give in my head, I always think about like, how many people even know how to buy an NFT? I think the experience has to get to the point where you're actually buying an NFT, but you maybe don't even realize it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when it'll make more sense. Like it's just from a technology standpoint, it's very hard. Like think about, even if you were to talk to your parents or your grandparents, or like most of them don't even know what a MetaMask is, or most of them, there's still a lot of them that don't even know how to buy Bitcoin. Like we're just getting to the point where like there's decent options for people to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. We got a ways to go. I think it has to get to the point where it's just really easy, and like you're not even thinking about owning some really confusing NFT asset. It's just you just have it and you own it, and it just becomes the norm. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess Siri thinks I'm talking to her.
So the metaverse coming in a while ish. Where I agree with you. I think we are pretty far away from that kind of world. I remember I made my mom a Phantom wallet on SoulSeek because she was like, I want to buy some NFTs. She's like, I know you buy some art stuff on the Solana blockchain every now and then. There's a lot of smaller artists on the Solana blockchain, so I don't want to pay for the gas fees and stuff. So I made her a wallet, and I was like, okay, I'll give you this NFT, but you have to put in $100 and you have to go try it out. And so she has not done that. She has not touched it a single time since I gave it to her. It's just difficult, dude. Like if they don't have someone either holding their hands, or if you're not in that world, it is a lot harder. And I think the tutorials are there, but it might be one of those things that like, until it's something that's in people's faces, like, hey, you kind of need to learn this otherwise, or else something. Like, I just don't know what that or else would be. Like, it might just be time. It might be Gary Vee yelling it enough times at enough keynote speeches. Have you ever spoken to him, by the way? Have you ever met Gary Vee?
No, I've never actually met him. He was in some of our, the first time that I ever went into a meeting for the Coinbase NFT partners. For some reason on the description, I thought it was just like a partner update for like us, like the Coinbase, like our account manager and DOGEPOUND. So I went into the meeting, and the first person that was in there was Gary Vee, and I was like, "What? What the heck is Gary Vee doing?" So I've just been on calls with him, but I've never had like a one-on-one conversation with him ever.
Did you get nervous, or what was that like? I don't know how people like perceive Gary Vee, and I mean, for me, I would have been excited, but a couple of years ago, I maybe would have lost my shit. But I didn't know like how people would perceive me like the Web3 world as far as like project founders and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was just in there talking like anyone else. Everyone was just kind of giving their input and feedback to Coinbase about some features that they're rolling out. So it was a really casual conversation. But yeah, I think that's the only time I've been on a call with him that I can think of.
100%. So how was that conversation with the Coinbase NFT? How did that go down?
It was good. I mean, it's interesting though, like I don't know. The Coinbase NFT, I think everyone was a little bit disappointed with how they decided to roll it out, right? It's kind of like they had a lot of hype in beta, and then kind of just transitioned from beta into a live launch, and there was no sort of like marketing transition. And I don't know. So Coinbase NFT, I'm sure if you read about it on Twitter, a lot of people like to hate on it, right? Like it's a total flop. We'll see. I mean, Coinbase is still a massive brand. When people think of cryptocurrency and buying it, you're still Coinbase 100%. Is one of the first ones that are come to mind. So we'll have to see how it does, especially when people are are looking to buy NFTs more again.
Yeah, I would say unless they shit themselves like everyone else has recently. Like I couldn't believe when Voyager went down, but like
Yeah.
I was genuinely like completely in shock when that happened. But as long as I think they don't do that, which they could, as long as they don't, I think they'll be okay. And I do agree they are the poster child of crypto. And I know the CEO went on to a podcast the other day. That was really good to see him kind of talk about his experiences. He opened up a little bit about like how he's dealing with it personally too, and how the navigating the crypto sphere like that. But I think I think Coinbase, yeah, they kind of did botch their NFT marketplace. I don't know how they would have, like, I don't know what exactly they did wrong. I just know that everyone hated it. Like everyone it came out, and I wasn't particularly that impressed when I saw the beta version. I was like, okay, like, all right. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I was expecting like fucking a party or something. Like, I don't know what to expect here. I don't know how they could have done it. Like I remember when, I don't know if you know Cool Man Universe, it's another NFT project. They had this big announcement, and Dan was super excited. He's an artist, he's a storyteller, so he had this big announcement that he thought was going to be revolutionary for the brand, and it was, but not for like the Web3 community who's focused on flipping. They're not really there for that. They're not really there for the story. They're there to trade on the narrative of the story kind of thing for a lot of the people in there, which stinks, because that's not where his brand originally came from. And so when he dropped that announcement, in my opinion, there's other ways he could have done it. He could have done a really hyped up video and marketed that video really well, and then came out with the announcement at the same time. He chose to do it over a Twitter space, which is maybe more intimate, but it's like awkward. You're sitting like on a Twitter space and like no one else is talking. You, and he just was like, "We're doing a show," and like everyone's like putting up like their emojis, reacting, and I was like, that was it. And I was just like, man, I was like, this is tough, dude. Like this is really, really hard in this kind of market to come out with good news,
Yeah. No, I think one of the things I've learned too from the NFT space is you really have to, I wouldn't say that we're super good at it right now. I think some of the stuff that we'll do with AMGI Studios will improve some of this, but you got to be pretty good at being able to tell a story as well for a lot of your brands.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep people engaged, especially in between product developments and what you're trying to build. That's super important. And I don't necessarily think we've done an amazing job at it. Something we need to improve on, but a lot of the NFTs, they just have a cool story. Like they're really good at storytelling, keeping people hooked. Like some of that comes down to marketing as well. But
sure,
being a good storyteller is really important right now, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you guys have the DOGEPOUND shelter, which is cool as fuck. I love that. Do you want to talk about that at all? I know that's one. I think that's one of your bigger things, the selling point, like the emotional side of an investor. But like, what was the thought there for you guys?
Yeah. Well, we never. Again, I feel like when we launched the DOGEPOUND, we just had like a typical roadmap because at the time, everyone was kind of just like back then the roadmap consisted of like you do a companion NFT. Because that's important. But you do a companion NFT. So we did puppies. You give some money away to charity. Like that was about it. Like that was essentially it. Maybe you have some sort of party, but
yeah, I remember.
Again, right now everyone's like crafting their own story for what an NFT should be, but. So I never really thought we'd necessarily start our own shelter. We got a connection to a charity through a community member, which was really nice. And just having these conversations with them, like the owner of the charity, funny enough, his name's actually John as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So his name's John. I just felt super comfortable with them. Like you could ask him, like, what are you going to do with, these $10? And he'd be able to tell you, right? You could tell like his whole life was just like incredibly devoted to helping dogs. And he also has a children's village. And, he's just truly devoted to helping people. He's an incredible person. So we were throwing around ideas and we're like, all right, well, I don't know, what's something we could do to make a bigger impact rather than just writing off a check and giving it to you guys. And then that's when we decided, let's actually build a shelter together. And now, it's become a pretty core part of our brand. I think it's going to get exciting here in the next couple months. We're finally starting to get sponsors and like other brands involved and starting to like appreciate what we're doing there. And it's just, it's super fun and rewarding. And I know for some of the holders, that's like their favorite part of the DOGEPOUND. Not necessarily everyone, but I think it's fun just to, again, some of this kind of comes back to like story and branding. I think it's just a really fun initiative that the DOGEPOUND has attached to it.
Yeah, so I agree.
Yeah, I hope I can go there someday to Tanzania and visit it. And, also the dream would be, first, we have to get this first shelter sustainable as well. Same thing with our own project. We're not at the point where we can expand, but maybe if it does well enough, we'd like to make more shelters and help more dogs, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
And that kind of thing really, really hits on the core people who are in DOGEPOUND. Like, this is something I talk about a lot. Like, if you're in a live stream and you got 4 people in there, then the goal is to make that live stream as great for those 4 people as possible, so that they bring their other 3 friends, and then you grow it slowly from the inside out. That's the way I believe in growth. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way I think it's better. Like, I remember I had literally 12 people in my Discord at one point, and we fostered those 12 people, and I prioritized on them rather than trying to expand outward and bring them in. I expanded like inward and brought them out, kind of thing. And I like that. And I think that you don't have to do all that, but I think doing things like that, doing the dog shelter, talking about that, it does talk about a certain portion of the investors who are in, they're bought in. They're like, look, we're here. We like DOGEPOUND. For those people, something like this is way more important. Rather than the person who comes in to flip, they might just be like, oh, they're doing a shelter. Let's trade on that news, kind of thing. But I think that kind of stuff is really, really important. And building that brand, that IP, is one of those processes that takes a while, but it pays off after. It pays off way, way later down the line. Like, for me, I was like, let me build my IP and brand as a very specific type of content creator, because one day, maybe it's not helping me right now and I'm losing out on the other YouTubers maybe, or maybe they're making alpha calls, they're getting way more subscribers, but I think my brand will pay off in the next 5 years, kind of thing, because I'll be able to get a sponsor that maybe they can't because of my brand. And I just believe in that way. So it's cool for me to hear you talk about that. So.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say too, I don't know if it's like, if people can fully see it yet, but my vision really is to tie the NFT into more of a close experience with dogs in general. And I think this will start to make more sense when, we're talking to some really, really big Web2 brands that are really big in pet care in the dog industry, some of the biggest people in the world. And yeah, that's where I see it going. We're kind of like this cool Web3 dog brand. Like, we don't necessarily lose sight of our kind of our, whatever you want to call it, like the degen Web3 culture. I think that's always important to maintain, but how do we elevate the IP and make it fun with some of these dog brands? So that's really what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, because you don't even need to focus too much on the degen part. That just comes with it. Like, I feel like that's just like, that comes with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think some people miss some of those things too. Like, just being able to like have alpha calls with the community replies, things like that. Anything that, at the end of the day, we all started here because we loved NFTs, and now we're growing our vision and our brand. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Do you have any tips? Because there's a lot of projects who absolutely just they go from like a 4/8 floor to 0.01 in like 2 months. You guys have been around for a very, very long time, and you guys are still one of the more talked about projects. That's OG, in my opinion. It's hard. It's hard as fuck to stay OG from last summer or last fall? That's a long, long time to be in NFT land. Do you have any secrets, any little tips of alpha for other project founders? I know a lot of project founders watch my channel because of these interviews.
I think one of the biggest things I've had to learn the hard way is, I'm the kind of person, like I said, I can be overly ambitious at times. I don't really try to, under promise and over deliver. I don't know if we necessarily did the best job at that from the start. I think we're doing a good job now, at least in my opinion. Yeah. We're being pretty straightforward with what our goals are. So don't overpromise. I think try and build a community too around a certain niche. Have it be very, very clear. Like, I see Bryce is even asking here, like, it's good to understand why. Why behind? I don't know. It's good to understand, like, why. What is your project? Like, why does someone actually want to be involved in it? And I think a lot of people can't fully answer that. And I don't even know if I could answer that in the beginning either. Like, why?
Sure.
Why do you want to be in DOGEPOUND? What's the point of your project? So maybe under promise, over deliver. Hit a niche. Have it be very clear for why someone want to be involved.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Pretty good advice.
Yeah. If you have more questions, I'm sure I can try to elaborate on it, but that's like kind of what comes to mind off the top of my head.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, that would probably be I haven't done a project, but from observing, and I've done a ton of reviews. I've done over 100 now. So I've seen like probably like 75% of the projects that people have heard of. I've probably done a review on them. That probably is one of the main core things for the projects that have stuck around that are a bit different. They have one little thing that's a bit different. Like, for example, like my pet hooligan. I remember in my live streams for probably 3 months, there was 2 people who would come in every single time, and they would just type in 3 letters, MPH, and I was like, who the fuck? I was like, I've never heard of them. And then one day I was like, let me just do a review. And after like 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I see. That's why they've been putting this in here for 3 months. And they've just got something different, you know, and like all the top projects, all the projects that people have heard of, like CyberKongs, they launched that banana token. They were one of the first to do that thing. So sometimes if you're first, that's one thing that can kind of propel you and keep you top dog for a long, long time. But you know, I guess there's only so much you can do if you're first. At some point, the other projects will catch up to you. As far as like the play to earn model, though, like a game like Wolf Game or something that was, you know, supposedly revolutionary. I remember what's his name, Gary Vee was super excited about that when they came out. And then there's a few other projects here and there that popped up about the play to earn ecosystem. Do you have any? Because I know you come from that background. Is there anything specific that's going to keep some play and earn games relevant versus some that are just going to die out within 2 weeks of them launching? Like, is there anything specific about a gaming project that warrants success? I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, I think kind of getting back to what we touched on earlier, I think it just has to be fun to play. Like, make games that people actually want to play, and they're not just playing it because they, you know, can make a couple quick dollars. Yeah. Then it's just never sustainable. I think that's my biggest advice. And like that Avaverse, I know the team very well. I know the founder really well. I mean, everyone's trying to figure out what they should make right now in the space.
Yeah, because I agree.
Because gaming right now, when we're in the bearish market, is really hard. It's like I feel like there's hardly any people in NFTs right now that actually want to play the games. They only want to play them to make money.
Yeah.
So I just think it has to be fun first. Make a game that people want to play for fun, and then the earning portion of it is just, I guess, a little bit of a benefit, right? It's just like a perk. It's not the main focus of it.
True. All right, I want to ask a question that's kind of out random that just pops in my head for some reason. Totally random, completely opposite of what we've been talking about this entire podcast, honestly. All right, say you're not developing, say you're not managing in Web 2 or Web 3. What other things would you be interested in? What career could you potentially be in? Would you be an astronaut or something?
You know, when I was younger, I always dreamed of playing in the NBA. I love sports. So,
nice. Okay. Shit. Let's go.
Basketball is my favorite sport. I still play every single week. I love sports and being active. That's like my favorite thing in the world to do.
Do you keep up with any of the other ones, or is it just basketball you keep up with?
No, I watch other sports, but basketball it's always just been my favorite. You know, I ran track in college for a little bit, and lately been me and my girlfriend have been playing pickleball. I don't know if you played pickleball.
I've played pickleball many times. That's fucking awesome. I love that. Yeah,
it's actually super fun. Yeah, just sports. I love sports. Anything like sports related, you know, if I could do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, if he ends up leaving the DOGEPOUND, guys, you turn on your TV because he's out there balling out, I guess. That's fucking awesome. Do you have any favorite players? Like, what kind of players do you look for? What are your favorite players to watch?
So when growing up, it's kind of funny. When I was younger, so I'm 31 now. So you know, kind of when I started watching sports as a kid, that would have been like early, you know, basically like 2000, like very early 2000s. So I was a huge Lakers fan. Like Kobe Bryant was always my favorite player. And I've kind of stuck with all those teams. So I like the Lakers, NFL. I like the Rams. Funny enough, now they're both in LA, but back then it was greatest show on turf. And yeah, I think I watch, you know, a good amount of sports. I mean, even the other day I was just watching the track championships, and yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Do you so you played back in the day? Were you any good though? I know you said you did track. Were you any good at the sports?
Yeah, I mean, I would, I guess I was good I grew up in small town Wisconsin. I was always I guess the best one in my grade, but yeah, I was pretty good. I guess I'm fortunate that I'm pretty athletic. Like I'm around like 6'4" and can move around pretty good. So,
and you're pretty. You're also you're pretty charismatic. You're pretty friendly and interesting too. Were you like popular in school? Like, what kind of student were you? Yeah.
I guess I was kind of the popular, sporty kids. You know, I've always just loved talking to everyone too. So I think people always appreciate that about me. I would talk to like anyone in our school. I didn't care if you had like sports or if we had nothing in common, right? I would always treat you with respect. So that's always super important to me. And you grew up in a small town. I remember when I was in South Carolina, I grew up, it wasn't a small town. Well, I guess it was sort of small, but I went to a school that basically had a small town feel. It was like this, my dad worked at this private school, so I was forced to go there for the first 9 years. And I haven't kept in contact with any of them now that I think about it. Do you keep in contact with them? Like, what is that like growing up there with the small town? A little bit. It gets hard, as you get older. I'm sure you face the same thing, right? As you get older, it's hard to keep in touch with like some of your like high school buddies, especially now that I live in North Carolina. A lot of them, pretty much all of them, still live in Wisconsin.
Oh, do they? Is that common? Do people stay there usually when they grow up in a small town?
I don't. A lot of my friends don't live in our same small town. They live in some of the bigger cities in Wisconsin.
Okay, got it,
like
got it.
Madison, Milwaukee, but there isn't anyone. Like I can't think of any of my high school buddies that live in North Carolina. It's kind of random. I even ended up here too. Like life's kind of weird like that.
Why did you move to North Carolina, by the way?
Well, originally because my ex-girlfriend got a job here, so that's how I ended up here. And then, no, it's just been nice. Wisconsin gets so cold, so I was like, I kind of like the South. You don't have to freeze your butt off so bad in the winter. So
yeah, that's true.
I'm stuck around.
Damn, Dakota asking all the wrong questions out here. I actually, Dakota, I don't use any hair product. I use shampoo, conditioner, like typical whatever fucking Walmart stuff every now and then. But I usually just do water. I know a lot of people with longer hair. I have like super long hair. They don't use much. Like I feel like hair, I don't know. Hair products actually low-key got canceled like a year or two ago on TikTok. I swear to God, people had this whole thing. They went extreme. They were like, don't use soap, don't use shampoo, don't even use water. Like I remember Mila Kunis came out or something, and they were like, we don't shower if we don't have to. And people were like, what? Fucking hell, dude. TikTok has been wild. Tell me your thoughts on the social media engine. Actually, no, what were you about to say?
Oh, I was going to say, if you just use water, we use the same products then, me and you.
Fuck yeah, let's go. That's the secret, fam. Dakota, that's the secret. It's just water. But I was going to say, what are your thoughts on the social media, TikTok, the social media engine?
I don't know. I haven't used TikTok too much. My background mostly was always growing big communities all over social media. So I've had to grow stuff everywhere. And like, funny enough, one of the first businesses that we owned was essentially running Twitter accounts.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. When I was in college, when I was like 19 or 20, there was a guy in college that he was making like pretty good money. He was probably making like 150,000 plus in college, just running a Twitter account. So I started to learn.
For who? What the fuck?
I don't know. We could go into a whole long conversation about this, but yeah, that was, so I bought a Twitter account and we just started growing up our pages, growing up our audiences in various niches. And then it's like anything else. Once you have a community and you have viewership and you have clicks and traffic, then it's just, that's how I started making mobile games and mobile apps. We had certain pages and I'm like, okay, what do we do with them? Like, how do we make money off them? Like, do we do, we were doing affiliate links and brand deals and all this sort of stuff. And then,
wow, dude, that's fucking dope.
So yeah, I don't know. What do I think of TikTok? I don't know. I don't use it too much anymore. Obviously, it's a great platform if you want to, you can probably still grow your audience the fastest on TikTok than you can anywhere else. But
probably, yeah, I agree. I just did this. I just tagged my friend Cameron. He had a video go viral, and he's like, "Kate, I spent 30 seconds making this video." He goes, "I have spent hours making other videos, and this one got a million views or something." And then yesterday, I posted a video of me doing nothing. I sat there on a green screen and let someone else do the work. And I just sat there and looked up at the video with the person watching. Basically, it was about 20-second clip of Layla Hormozi giving a little one-off something about CEO stuff, and it got like 50,000 views. And I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, how many videos I put out there? Like none of them get this much attention, but that's just the game, I guess. And then also I have a question here from Ivan.
Yeah.
Oh no, hold on. This is different. This is a scammer. Hold on, one sec. Ivan. Okay. Hey John. Besides sports, you know what else you should be watching? You think like TV shows? You mean something like that?
I don't know. I don't know what Ivan's. What he's. Oh no, actually, you know what? Based on the profile picture, I don't know if you should. You might be alluding to some sort of joke here.
Oh. Damn, he almost got us. Okay, well, you know what? We'll take away Ivan, but we'll ask the same question. What shows should we be watching or movies?
Let's see. What have I watched lately? I don't really watch a ton of like TV shows. I mostly watch sports, but it's been kind of a lull now that the NFL and basketball and all this stuff is over.
True.
I really liked Ted Lasso. I don't know if you saw that.
I haven't.
Big big Ted Lasso fan. I like that. We actually rewatched Breaking Bad. Me and my
Nice.
girlfriend recently. That's always good. What else have we watched? We watched a little bit of The Boys. I don't know if you've seen that.
What is that? Is on like Netflix or something?
I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's
Amazon Prime.
kind of like a satire TV show about superheroes and the corruption around. It's pretty good. I don't know if I've really watched much of anything else. What about you? You got any good suggestions?
Oh man, there's a couple shows I need to start, and I put this on Twitter, and then I didn't end up not choosing either. I'm still stuck between Game of Thrones and Peaky Blinders. Those are the two shows I need to watch because everyone I know has watched them, and I've said multiple times I'm gonna watch, and then I get nervous and I don't pick either, and then I end up picking something else, and then I just do work or something instead. But I want to watch one of those shows. I love Lost. It's an old show. I think it was on ABC. That was one of my favorite shows ever. Definitely because my parents were just so obsessed with it, and I just got this idea of what it could be. And so now it's like still my favorite show. I absolutely love that show.
My brother was obsessed with that. My brother is like a big movie buff guy. He worked in Hollywood for a little bit, and he loved Lost. Yeah, he loved that show.
That's cool as fuck, dude. Yeah, I always there's shows like that. There's honestly everything in my life has been a similar theme here, where I would always like the things that a lot of people hated. Like for example, with Lost. Everyone loved that show, but not everyone, a lot of people hated the ending. They were just like, it didn't answer enough questions and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know. I love the ending. And same with like growing up, I was like, all these people were like, I hate this teacher. And I was like, I don't know. I like that teacher. That's just always how I've been. Yeah. There was a question in there, but I forget what it was. Oh, here's one that I saw someone ask me yesterday to ask you. This one, I guess, goes back into our NFT conversation. What was your best NFT dub? Did you ever trade?
Oh, my bet. Yeah, probably. I mean, honestly, just buying a Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, it's kind of not really a very exciting story, but yeah, at one point I had two of them. Actually, right now I don't own any of them, but
damn, dude, man bought a Bored Ape Yacht Club. What is that? What is that like?
Yeah, no, it was nice, but it was easy back then. You know how it was. I mean, maybe 6 months ago, it's almost like anything you bought was going up for a while. It's a lot harder now to to be honest, I don't really hardly buy any NFTs right now because it's really hard for them to sustain. I hate talking about floor prices, but it's hard for them to sustain any sort of floor price right now. It's really difficult.
What was your first NFT that you bought, and how long ago was it?
Probably just an Axie Infinity because back then when we were on DLive TV, I mean, you needed an Axie to play the game.
Right.
So that was, I don't know, probably 2017 or so, 2018.
And did you have any crazy losses, like crypto or NFTs, where you bought in and just lost everything?
I've tried like trading and stuff on like Bybit and stuff like that. I've lost tons of money trying to trade. I always tell people, like, if you really don't know how to do technical analysis, like if you really don't know how to do it, just don't try it. It's like gambling essentially.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome. Hell yeah. I love it.
I'm trying to think what else I've bought. That's, I don't know if there's any other like necessarily crazy stories, but I made a lot of money in some of the past bull runs and basically lost all of it too.
I feel like that's very common, dude. Like I think especially, well, for me, I'm when I first got I made a big bag from Dogecoin by accident. I bought some in like 2019 or 2020 as a joke. Forgot about it, and then it ran up to like, I remember it was at 7 cents, and my friend Devin called me. He's like, "Bro, download Robinhood." And I was like, "Why?" I was like, "I deleted that like 2 years ago." He's like, "No, download it again." He's like, "You still have Dogecoin, right?" And I was like, "I think." I was like, "Why?" I was like, "We bought it. It was like worth nothing. It's a 0.00001." He's like, "I know," and I was like, "Oh." And he goes, "It's at 7 cents," and we were like, "Oh my god." And then shout out Journey Crypto, because Journey Crypto's videos had really helped me at that point. I was able to pull out a lot of that money successfully, dollar cost my way out. So I'm very happy. So I owe him a debt of gratitude. The issue is I used that money to launch by myself into NFTs, which was great. I learned a lot. Lost all of it, I think. Lost 100% of that money. It's just how it is, dude. That's just how it is.
It's really tough. Like right now, you should definitely, I always tell people, like, never buy it. Sometimes it works out, but for the most part, never buy a project like right when it launches, when there's tons of hype. I mean, every once in a while, there's like, if you would have bought Goblins when it just came out, it had a lot of hype and then it got a lot higher. But for the most part, chances are it's going to come down 50, 60% after the hype is gone and there's not a lot of volume, and you can buy. Yeah, just try and buy stuff when it's not in a hype period.
Yeah, I agree.
and then honestly sell when it is.
Yeah, it's like when people at the Board Ape Yacht Club, you know, they were like, I'm just gonna hold forever, and I was like, I mean, you could do that, but like it runs up pretty fucking high sometimes. You could totally just buy like I saw many people who are able to at least afford Board Ape Yacht Clubs. They'll sell it like 110 and they'll just buy back in at 80. I'm like, bro, that's like 40 ETH you just made right there. I'm like, that's a lot of money you just made, and it's gonna swing up and down. Like that's just the way of the market. Here's a random question. Well, not really random. What's your day in the life look like right now? Like today, you wake up, you're like, all right, podcasting with the man. And then after that, what's going on?
Yeah, podcast with the man. No, right now, I spend a lot of my time just on phone calls, like a lot of business development stuff. So I'm probably on my phone at least 4 hours a day. Just
you a work phone now? Is that like something I'm going to need to do one day? Get like a second phone?
No, I still just have my cell. I still just use my cell phone for the most part, but there's still, a lot of just like Zoom calls and Microsoft meetings that we have. So I spend a lot of time just doing business development. Like we are working with a lot of these Web2 brands, just having conversations with them every single week, trying to get our product integrated into other existing games or brands. Talking with AMGI Studios a lot lately, who's our new business partner. That's really exciting. But yeah, I would say a lot of calls, and then just, touching base with some of the existing stuff that we have going on. So it's a lot of like high level management type stuff.
Has there been anything while you've been founder and working with a whole lot of companies, has there been anything that's been way harder than you imagined it would be, even though you've been in the space for a long time? Is there anything that surprised you that was more work than you thought?
Just in general, like being the founder.
Yeah, or just honestly anything in Web3, just like way more hard than you imagined it would be.
Yeah, I don't think some people maybe just see like, all the money that like DOGEPOUND made and all the success, but it's pretty stressful. It's a lot of work. Like when we started the DOGEPOUND, I probably worked on the DOGEPOUND at least 12 hours every single day, like 12 to 14 hours every single day. It was at the point where like my girlfriend was like, okay, this is like, we can't keep doing this. Like you can't just work, like get up and work on DOGEPOUND and go to sleep at like midnight. And like,
but you can, bro, but you can. I was like, it's the only way.
And I tried to tell her, like, I just had to have an honest conversation with her. Like, this is a really good opportunity for me. Like, I got to make sure we can see this through. So it's a lot of like, if you're, especially me, I'm not the only one in DOGEPOUND. Like I am the founder and people know me as kind of the face of it, but yeah, I'd say can be quite stressful. Obviously when you have a big community too, not everyone is going to be happy. You can't always please everyone. Right. So kind of being able to swallow that at times is a little bit hard. So maybe just the stress that can sometimes come with it. It's not all wins.
You ever had any like come to Jesus moments where you're like, what am I doing? What the fuck? What is happening right now? Like maybe with DOGEPOUND or like earlier in your life, you ever had like an identity crisis or something where you panicked and rethought everything in your life?
Well, maybe the last 10, 11 years of being an entrepreneur. I'd say you have that every single year.
All right, that is good to hear because that's where I'm on my journey. And I was like, man, is this shit get any easier? Is there ever a time where I'm like chilling and people are like, nah, dude. Like, not really. That's the life you signed up for.
No, man, just keep grinding. I mean, it kind of sucks. I've had everyone only sees the good parts of, entrepreneurship, like the big successes, but it's been, extremely tough. I remember some years where basically I had like no money. You're like, what? And you get like envious of your friends. It's like, why? Like I went to college. Why didn't I just like take a job? Like you get envious, like them working 9 to 5. I went, So I think just keep pushing. I think a lot of entrepreneurs really want to say it or not, I think a lot of people go through that same stuff for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there are big waves where you're doing pretty well, and then you kind of forget about when the times don't do so well, and then you're in there now, and you're like, oh my god, like shit. I mean, I'm eating shit right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. No, man, just keep pushing and talk to people too. Like talk to other entrepreneurs. I'm happy to talk with you too. I mean, it's
Yes, I think that's great advice, and I appreciate you saying that. I've asked a few entrepreneur people that question, and I think we went to a different direction. But that was good that you brought that up as the main thing because that's something that I don't hear too much about. Because usually when people bring that up, they're like, yeah, you just get back on the horse and keep going. But it's truly a thing where you're like, yeah, I had a couple years where in the middle of all this other success, or like a year that was really, really good, and then you make a decision that like wasn't maybe so good, and now you're eating shit for a while. But also, if there's anyone in the chat who wants to ask any last questions here, I figured I would do a little fire off Q&A, just random stuff that comes to my mind, just quick fire stuff, rapid fire.
Yeah,
you ready?
Sure.
Favorite color? Favorite color?
Blue.
Damn, everyone! Why is everybody's favorite color blue? All right, favorite number.
I'll go with 8. It was Kobe.
8?
I love Kobe.
Kobe, yeah. R.I.P. Kobe, dude.
Yeah, I love Kobe.
Dude, honestly, actually, wait. Let's take a moment there. The Kobe thing, that I didn't even watch basketball like that, but that actually stopped the world for I don't know exactly how long, but I remember when he told me that, I was like, what? It's like, wait, what? And I remember everyone. It was like very, very fucking weird. Like the entire earth paused for a day. That is the first time in my entire life that I've experienced anything remotely close to that. Have you experienced anything like that where it stopped the world?
No, I told my friends that too. It's like, it was kind of weird. Like you don't actually like personally know Kobe. You've never met him, right? You just watch him. He was always like my sports idol growing up. But yeah, you actually like kind of like felt emotional for it. I was like, wow, yeah. I don't think I've ever felt that before either. Because most times,
it was tragic. Not
to be like mean, but like if a random celebrity dies, it probably doesn't like have a huge impact on you. But that time, it actually, I would say.
Yeah, I guess he had talked to a lot of people who were also like famous or something, and he had just affected them a little bit deeper than maybe someone else, or he was just maybe a little bit more inspiring or something like that. Like I think if Messi or like Ronaldo, if that happened to one of them, it would probably have a similar impact. But maybe it was the way Kobe like talked and spoke and presented himself and stuff that people really loved. And he's been on a few shows and stuff like that. But I never really like noticed him that much before when he was running around doing his thing. But that shit was fucking nuts. I remember, and I even fucking was really sad for a couple of days, and I couldn't even explain. It was a really, really weird feeling for me. So yeah, shout out Kobe. So anyways, we'll bring it back to a more normal topic. Favorite energy drink? I know you got one.
I actually don't. I don't really drink energy drinks, to be honest.
Nah.
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink anything.
Wait, you're running Dogepound on no caffeine?
Yeah, I don't.
Get the fuck out of here.
Here, like going back to like some of like the being an entrepreneur. Like I actually honestly really struggle with anxiety. I don't like having like caffeine. It's not
I see.
Good for, yeah.
Have you? What are your coping mechanisms, I guess, for anxiety? Because I also struggle with a shit ton of anxiety.
Yeah. I think just practicing like gratitude is a big thing. At the end of the day, just write down what you're grateful for. Kind of puts things into perspective. I mean, if I were to look back, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 years ago, like I didn't even want to leave the house. Like I had so much anxiety. And I used to be like grateful for like going outside for 15 minutes. And like that sounds crazy, right? But I think just put things in perspective. Be grateful for even the little things in life. And I think once you actually write that down and you fully connect with that, it can kind of.
Dude, that's powerful. Yeah, that's super powerful. When I was in my car traveling, there was a period where I think it was just the fact that I was so isolated and alone for so long. It was 6 months straight of being completely like I talked to maybe 7 people for 6 months straight. So there was a period where I went through, this is like very specific and very weird, but I had to have something on my head or in my ears to go into anywhere public. Like I had to have either earphones or a hat or a beanie because I felt unsafe going into these places. And I couldn't even explain. I've never experienced anything like that before. I'm very, I have a very introverted side, but then I've worked in customer service my whole life, so I can just put on the hat and become an extroverted person if I need to. Yeah. But I have never experienced true anxiety walking into a Walmart when there was no reason. I wasn't even going to talk to anyone, and I couldn't explain it. It was really weird. God damn it, this dude's back in here in the chat. I blocked really you. How is this possible? All right, here we go. No, he's out.
It's not weird, man. Like my weird thing is I don't know why. So like not to go on this whole rant, but it would be interesting. I wish more people would talk about like mental health and anxiety and all these sort of things. But like for me, it's pretty out. But like my anxiety a lot of times is tied to my breathing. So instead of taking medicine, I randomly found that like if I like take a cough drop, I guess it makes me think that I can breathe better. You know how
really?
Like the methanol, like I don't know, I guess it just convinces me I can breathe better. So that's kind of like my random like coping thing. So
very interesting.
Yeah. I remember one of the first time I met my girlfriend, she's like, why are you always like sucking on cough drops? And I had to like explain, and she's just used to it. But
That's so interesting. All right, what's your favorite flavor? I can't stand lemon. Sorry, I know you're like John Lemon, but I can't stand lemon.
my favorite flavor, like cough drops, or
Yeah, dude, they're different. Cherry tastes like a straight up sugary cherry. Strawberry is good. I like strawberry.
I don't know. I just like the ones where you can actually really like the menthol is really strong. I guess
True.
you could say.
True.
Yeah.
Bryce says wild cherry was his first coping mechanism. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I feel like we do have just random coping mechanisms we develop as you get older and you're dealing with shit, especially like if you're a kid whose mom or dad maybe didn't do, or maybe wasn't good at communicating or something. You develop coping mechanisms to kind of deal with that, and then you grow up, and then we're all running around with some kind of shit that we're dealing with. So it is really interesting. Everyone's kind of dealing with shit. I saw a post yesterday about this girl who had it was on Twitter. It was like blowing up. It was going viral. Some girl who has this disability. And sometimes physical disability, but she can hide it under her clothes. Like no one knows unless she was to like not have clothes on or something. And so she was like parking at a handicap, and someone yelled at her, and she was like, "Oh God, like you don't know what's going on under the covers, of what people are dealing with." So yeah, that's a huge topic. Honestly, you can go to an entire podcast on that. But here's a good question: what's your biggest fear, if you have any? Like, do you have any irrational fears actually?
Oh yeah, I mean, tons of irrational fear. I mean, like my brain works like kind of like what you're saying. Like you didn't like to go to certain places without your hat on. Like, I still struggle with going certain things where you've never been there before. Like you don't know, like because I sometimes every once in a while I've had panic attacks. Like, oh, if I have a panic attack, you're like, what do I do? I've never been here before. So my brain is always thinking like 100 steps ahead, like everywhere I go, which is good and bad. But what was the original question now? I feel like
I was just gonna say what your biggest fear was, and then I asked your irrational fear after. I don't know why I brought that up because now you're thinking about it, but
oh, that's fine. Biggest fear, I think, as an entrepreneur, it's like for me, I struggle with like knowing like what's enough. Like I was pretty successful in sports. It's kind of a weird feeling. When I was in high school, I won multiple state championships in track, and I remember getting back home like a day later after the state track, and I wasn't even like proud of myself. It was weird.
Really?
It's like, yeah, I was like, I don't even care. Like I'm not even proud of myself. So it's for me like it's a struggle to know like what's good enough. Like that fear of like, am I trying hard enough? Am I doing because everyone likes to compare themselves to something. Maybe something along those lines, or like kind of like the fear of the unknown is something I struggle with as well a little bit.
Yeah, that's super interesting about what you said about the sports. I can relate because I played soccer. I played soccer in college, then I blew out both my ACLs. But I remember in high school we won state one year, and I wasn't like a starter or anything. So it was fun for me to be part of it. It was more fun for me to see all the seniors. It was like there was a lot of the seniors, so they were excited because they got to go out, on top. And I remember thinking like that's fucking awesome. But I also struggled with that too. Like I remember when I graduated high school and when I graduated college, I didn't particularly care. I was kind of like, all right, well, everyone else seems to be excited. I guess I should probably be excited or something. I don't particularly feel like that impressive. And I think for me, like one of the only accomplishments would be probably being able to do YouTube and get paid through ways online and shit like that. And I was like, okay, like that's actually something I'm proud of because I kind of worked on that. Do you feel with entrepreneurship, you've been able to kind of embrace that and like be proud of yourself, or is that something you're still struggling with?
I mean, I think I still struggle with a certain extent. Like it maybe helps me a little bit. Like with DOGEPOUND, I don't know. I think it keeps me level headed, right? Like I still feel like, DOGEPOUND's been highly successful, but I still feel like we've accomplished nothing, right? Like we still have a ton that we need to do. So I think somewhere being balanced, right, in the middle is really important, especially with entrepreneurship. You should be proud of a lot of the things that you accomplish. Sometimes when you think back, it's like, oh yeah, I did actually a lot of cool stuff. Like that is cool. Like people are working a 9-to-5 job. We made all these products in the past. We did this, and yeah. So maybe some of it comes back to like reflection and gratitude.
True.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right. Last two questions. Sure. Where's the coolest place you've been to? You traveled to? It can be small. It doesn't even have to be anywhere crazy. It could be something very specific in fucking Wyoming. It could be something random.
I don't know. I really like when I was a teenager, I went to Australia.
No way.
That was really cool. That was really fun. Still have a lot of we went there and stayed with host families, and there's still some of the families still stay in touch with me. So you kind of have like these families that in a different country. So that was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. Yeah, Australia's one place I want to go to. And that's a totally different way to travel, you know, to live, to converse with people who actually live there versus going to a resort. I remember my family always went to like resorts growing up. That would be our vacation. And then I went on a trip with my friend, and we did it very different. He's like, let's go and stay at hostels instead. Like, let's do something else. We'll stay with my friend for a couple of days too, who lives there in Hawaii, in Oahu. And we did that. And I was like, wow, that was a very, very, very different experience than if we stayed on Honolulu or the Big Island and gone to the resort there. So that's dope, dude. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should do more of that as well. Yeah. You definitely get a totally different perspective. I remember, Australia, one of the first nights that we stayed with like a host family, we were eating dinner, and the most entertaining part of it was just like them asking us to say things, and then us asking them to say things because they had the Australian accent, and then they wanted to hear us say things in our American
That's fucking
accent.
hilarious. I love that. Have you read Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey?
No, I don't think so. No.
It's a great book. I just remember that was a story he talked about when he was living. He went and did like a living with other family type deal, and it was just funny hearing those stories. But that's a great book. But anyways, last question. DOGEPOUND aspirations. Where do you want it to be? Where do you see it being? What are your biggest dreams with DOGEPOUND?
Yeah, I think the biggest dreams again is just to kind of hit this vision that we're going for, to really have it be this super cool Web3 dog brand. I'd like to see it on actual dog products in the near future. I'd like to see.
Do you have anyone you want to collaborate with very, very specifically, like a company or a person that you're like, that would be sick?
I would say a lot of the brands that we want to collaborate with, we're actively talking with. It's just kind of a little bit slow.
Let's go. Let's go.
So I feel confident there. I'm sure there's other partners I'm not thinking of that would be great to collaborate as well.
Hell yeah.
Maybe something up your alley as well. I'd like to get our content strategy to be better, where you're actually incorporating dogs more. I think there's a lot of fun things we can do where it's, we're still, you're not foregoing the NFT side of it, but there can be a lot of fun dog content involved in the DOGEPOUND. And
100%.
there just has to be that link, right? That link between the NFT and then actually your in real life dog. And I think it'll get more clear over time with some of these brands that we work with. But
yeah, man.
I just want us to live on for a long time. This isn't for me. It's already been a year, but I want to work on this for many years. And everything I do, I try and incorporate DOGEPOUND in some sort of way. So make it sustainable. And, one of the projects that people think of when they think of NFTs, we're not quite there right now, but hopefully we can keep pushing and we'll get there.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for being here. That was fucking awesome. I really got to kind of talk about honestly, we bounce I usually don't bounce around that much, but I just had so many thoughts, and like I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. DOGEPOUND is one of those projects from the very beginning. It was probably one of the first 10 projects I ever heard of in NFTs. So it's kind of cool to have this moment to talk to you. So I really appreciate your time, dude.
Yeah, you too, man. Appreciate it. We'll definitely have to touch.
Hell yeah, man. 100%. Guys. Yeah. And people who are watching, I have some people who have been here since the beginning, including that bot who was in here trying to scam people. We got him out of here. But code word, if you made it to the very end, or if you're here right now, I want to see a woo. Oh, spam in the fucking chat. And if this is not your first podcast with me, if this is one that this is your episode 10 with the Joyage Kingdom, I want to see OG spam in the chat. Y'all already know. So guys, if you haven't already, smash the like button too. We appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. I have John's, I have John Lemon. I have John Lemon, not John Lennon. John Lemon's stuff down below in the description. We appreciate all of you guys being in here. Until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're alive watching this video. But where's my graphic? Bye.